In the last couple years, the game of hockey has been growing at an exponential rate. However, with that being said, the NHL is in a predicament. And just last season, we saw 7 players sign some of the biggest contracts in NHL history at over $10 million per season. And with an average player salary of $2.78 million, well, that's a pretty big wage gap. So with the salary cap not rising as fast as teams believed it would, today more than ever, do general managers have to ensure they are negotiating the right contracts? As teams are so close to the cap that a single bad contract can have a huge ripple effect on the success of the team. So with the many lucrative contracts that we saw get signed last season, many fans and analysts have been especially hard on players who are perhaps not living up to their contracts. So today's video, we're going to go over 8 players who have proved everyone wrong this season. And has anyone on your team surprised you this season? Comment down below and press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. The support on the RTH channel has just been amazing. Let's get straight into this video. We'll start with Patrik Laine. And Laine is a very interesting case. Drafted 2nd overall in 2016, Laine at the age of 18 was his top sniper in the entire league, as he put up a very impressive 36 goals in his rookie season, 40 the next year, and in his 3rd season, aka his contract year, well, things didn't go so well. As Laine started the season with an astounding 21 goals. 21 goals in 24 games. Just amazing, meaning he was on pace for nearly 72 goals at this point. However, Laine would finish the season with 30 goals. And don't get me wrong, to 95% of the league, 30 goals is still very impressive. But because Laine scored 21 goals in his first 24 games, Laine would only score 9 goals in the remaining 58 games. 9. And this level of inconsistency is honestly just absurd. So much so that many analysts really begun to question Laine, as that contrast and goal production was just unheard of. And because of this, in the summer of 2019, Laine would go from a potential $10 million man to negotiating a bridge contract of $6.75 million for 2 years. In this season, we have seen an entirely different Laine. 25 goals, 63 points in 68 games. And the more interesting stat line here is that Laine was on pace for doubling his assist total from last year from 20 to 40 assists this season. And so Laine is still that elite goal scorer. He's definitely very streaky, but he's become a more versatile player this year. And he still has a suspect defensive game, but it has improved from last season, and he's been much more consistent this year. Next, we have JT Miller. And after being involved in a very controversial trade during the 2019 NHL draft, many people thought that the Vancouver Canucks and Jim Benning were foolish for giving up a 1st round pick for a fringe top 6 player at best. However, JT Miller this season has been playing out of his mind, as he currently has 72 points in 69 games, which has surpassed all of his career highs on top of having a very good defensive game. In this contrast in JT Miller's game, more has to do with the fact that he was pushed down a stacked Tampa Bay roster, and his newfound chemistry with Elias Pettersson brought Miller's play to an entirely different level. So if the season returns and the Canucks squeeze into a playoff spot, this was a slam dunk trade for the Canucks, as JT Miller has been a star all season. Next, we have our Tammie Panera. And Panera's case is a bit different. Signing with the Blackhawks in 2015, it was very apparent that Panera was that hidden gem. As he broke into the league, he won the Calder and has been a top winger in the NHL ever since. However, after going into free agency this past offseason, I feel like nobody could have ever expected Panera to live up to that contract, as our Tammie Panera signed for north of $11.6 million per season. And for a winger, and usually wingers make less than centermen, who hadn't surpassed 90 points, this contract was unheard of. However, Panera has proved to be a top player in the entire NHL, as he currently stands with an astounding 95 points in 69 games. Meaning Panera was on pace for 113 points, so the breadman, who received a lot of dough this past offseason, has truly lived up to that monster contract that no one could have ever expected him to do so. Next, we have Elvis Merzlikins. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And it isn't so much about Elvis necessarily proving everyone wrong, but rather he was a major factor in proving everyone wrong about the Columbus Blue Jackets. Because after being absolutely ravaged in the 2019 offseason, the Columbus Blue Jackets were expected to be a bottom team in the NHL. as they lost their star player in Panarin, their starting goaltender and two-time Vezina winner in Sergei Bobrovsky, and their newly acquired Matt Duchene. Which of course made every analyst, including myself, assume that Columbus was going to be in rebuild mode for at least a couple years. However, with the rise of Merzlikins, the Columbus Blue Jackets are currently sitting in a playoff position, as Elvis has played out of his mind this season. And weirdly enough, Elvis actually started the season pretty slow with some pretty inconsistent play. But heading into the year 2020, Elvis would emerge as a top goaltender in the entire NHL. As Elvis posted 4 shutouts in 8 games, and he currently sits with a .923 save percentage and a 2.35 goals against average. So without Merzlikins, I am positive that the Columbus Blue Jackets are out of reach of a playoff position. Next, we have William Nylander. Drafted 8th overall in 2014, Nylander was a very promising, highly skilled winger coming from Sweden. And Nylander definitely did not disappoint, as he has proved to be a very good top 6 talent with the upside of a premier first-line winger. So heading into the 2018-2019 season, Nylander wanted to, well, get paid. So much so that Nylander sat out the first 18 games because of the negotiation process, which of course resulted in a last-second dramatic contract worth just shy of $7 million for 6 years. And this contract was extremely controversial, as many fans were very salty that Nylander for the first portion of the season would sit out. And on top of this, Nylander would only put up 4 points in his first 20 games back, which would only fuel this continued drama. Which of course made many fans claim that Nylander's $7 million contract was one of the worst deals in the entire NHL, especially for a cap-sensitive Leafs lineup. However, Nylander has proved everyone wrong this season, as he currently sits with 59 points in 68 games, is on pace for 71 points, and has been a very consistent goal scorer for the Leafs this season. And what's ironic about the situation is that Nylander's $6.9 million contract actually has a lot of value when you consider some of the other contracts currently being signed. And so for a player who's just being crucified last season, I basically heard no critics this year. Next, we have Rhine Strim. Traded for Jordan Eberle in 2017, Strom was another casualty of the Edmonton Oilers, as Strom went from a top 6 player to nearly being sent to the minors. Because in 2018, Strom would only put up 2 points in 18 games before being sent to the Rangers for Ryan Spooner. And with the Rangers, Strom would go from a 2-point player in 18 games to having 33 points in 63 games. And this season, Ryan Strom would prove that it wasn't a fluke, as he currently sits with 59 points in 70 games, which has surpassed all of his career highs. And so for a player that was seeing huge regression and was traded for Ryan Spooner, who's currently in the KHL, Strom this season looks like an entirely different player. Next, we have Kevin Fiala. On the 2019 trade deadline, the Minnesota Wild made a very questionable trade as they signed Mikael Granlund, who was a very good established top 6 player, and they received a 22-year-old Kevin Fiala, who did show flashes of brilliance, but had yet to get over the hump of being a fringe top 6 forward, which made many fans and analysts seriously criticize Paul Fenton, who'd actually be fired that same offseason. However, Kevin Fiala has been one of the best up-and-coming talents in the entire league. As he currently sits with 23 goals, 54 points, he was on pace for over 70 points, and being that Fiala is 4 years younger than Granlund, this trade today is looking like robbery, as Mikael Granlund has regressed this season with only 30 points, while making nearly 2 times more than Fiala. So for a trade that seemed to be very questionable, Fiala has definitely been a star this season for the Wild. And lastly, we have Neil Pionk. Traded for Jacob Trouba this past offseason, Neil Pionk was seen as a massive downgrade and was now a part of a torn-up Jets blue line, as Jacob Trouba was coming off a 50-point season where he played a physical 2-way game. And as for Pionk, he was a very inexperienced puck-moving defenseman who had been pretty inconsistent for the Rangers. However, this season Pionk has been playing the best hockey of his entire career. 45 points in 71 games, has a much improved 2-way game, and is making a fraction of what the Rangers paid Trouba, as Jacob Trouba, right after being traded, signed that $64 million contract with the Rangers. And to add salt to the wounds, Neil Pionk has not only outperformed Jacob Trouba, but he's been doing it for a fraction of the price. The Jets also received a 2019 first-round pick, which they used to draft Ville Heinola, who is currently ranked as one of the best defensive prospects outside the NHL. Anyways guys, there's 8 players who proved everyone wrong this past season. The support on the RTH channel the past couple weeks has just been amazing, as we currently just surpassed 14,000 subscribers. Just insane, guys. Just to reiterate here, my goal for all of 2020 was to hit 5,000 subscribers. We have nearly tripled that. So just amazing, guys. And with that being said, what do you guys want to see on this channel? I've been kind of having a pretty big debate with myself on whether I want to do more current event videos or just stick to the videos I've been making the past couple weeks, and more, I guess, just historical videos, kind of those documentary types where I analyze, where are they now, those types of videos. So give me some feedback down below, I really appreciate it. And also, guys, I've been kind of debating on sticking to a Wednesday and Saturday schedule. It kind of works best for me. Obviously, if I have time to do any more videos, I'll upload them. But for my main series, a Wednesday and Saturday. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for all the support. Hope everyone is doing well during this tough time. See you guys later.